Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, the show for visionary coaches, healers, wellness pros, and small business owners who aren't just here to host another feel-good getaway, but to build a profitable, impactful retreat business. I'm your host, Shannon Jamail, retreat strategist, business mentor, and owner of a 46-acre retreat center. I've hosted over 100 retreats around the world, and I've made every mistake so you don't have to. Each week, we'll dive into the mindset, marketing, money, business, and mechanics behind sold-out, profitable retreats. Plus, hear from expert guests who are walking the talk. Whether you're planning your first retreat or scaling your 100th, you're in the right place. Welcome to the show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. It's Shannon, and I have a special guest today. I am in the Austin studio if you are watching on YouTube, but my special guest is on Zoom. And so I just want to welcome Myles to the show. Welcome to the show, Myles.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm excited you're here. So tell me, we're just really going to start off by you telling everybody, me and everybody, who you are, what you do, and what brought you to where you're at today.
Yeah, totally. So I work for the Event We provide liability insurance for special event rentals, people hosting events at venues. And we also provide insurance for vendors that may be operating at those events. What I do, well, first of all, we're here in beautiful Northern California, which you can't see, but we're actually looking out towards Lake Tahoe over here right now. Which
Nice.
Is a beautiful view. We love it here. And yeah, great team here at the Event Helper. But yeah, basically what I typically do is I work on the educational side of things, answering questions about event insurance, making sure people know what they're buying, and then working with venues as well to educate them and their guests needing that insurance.
Yes. And so if anybody's listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that this is something that I'm super passionate about. My whole goal is to help small business entrepreneurs and retreat leaders add retreats successfully to their business as a business. And when you are operating a business, not a hobby, but a business, there are certain things that nobody likes, if we're being honest, Myles, but it's just part of doing business, right? And one of those things is insurance. We, as a venue, we require everybody who hosts a retreat or an event at our venue to have their own policy. I want to be clear too, this doesn't mean that we as a venue don't have our own insurance. We do. We have, insurance. It's an annual policy. It covers all kinds of things, including our, venue is just unique because we have horseback riding and other things, but venues still should have their own, annual business policy. Event insurance is a little different. I'd love for you to just tell everybody why that is and what is the difference?
Yeah, so the venue, you're going to have your own policy. Like, there's a lot of different aspects to a venue's policy. You're going to have liability coverage. If you injure somebody, you'll have workers' comp coverage, for your employees, auto coverage, maybe contractual liability, things like that.
Yep.
Where we come in, so we offer the event host protection since they're bringing all the people into your space. They're responsible for your space during the rental contract period. We offer them protection if they cause an injury to a guest during the event, or if they or their guests cause property damage to the venue during the event. The venue is going to want that insurance on the injury side of things as sort of like a first line of defense against their venue policy. That way, somebody gets hurt on property, the venue's not the only person out there risking their insurance policy. They have this policy that maybe costs $100, $200 from us to offer $1 million to cover that injury claim to somebody they brought on site.
Yeah.
The other side of it is, since that event host signing the rental contract with the venue is responsible for the space during that event, if they or their guests cause property damage to the venue, they don't want to have to pay out of pocket, for maybe they were moving some stuff around and scraped up hardwood floors, or
Right.
there was a broken sink in a bathroom that flooded the bathroom, or they're cooking in the kitchen and they burn a countertop, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
They're responsible for that space, and if there's property damage, they're going to have to pay for it. And they have this policy that they buy from us, so the venue's requiring them to get to basically fall back on, so they're not personally coming out of pocket to pay for whatever may happen.
Yes, so thank you. You literally clearly outlined it perfectly. And it is so important, those of you that are listening, it is so important to invest. Myles said it. He's like, it's a couple $100 on the high end, depending on how many days. And I mean, there's so many variables, so don't hold us to that couple $100. It could easily be, 900, 1,000. It just depends. There's so many variables that are to it. But that investment is worth every penny. It's just like your car insurance. It's just like your house insurance. It's just like any other insurance policy that you take out. You don't want to have to use it, but holy shit, are you glad that you have it if something happens? And we're in the business of, in-person experience events and retreats. Shit happens. I don't want to, make this sound like, oh my gosh, doom and gloom, but shit happens. You're dealing with multiple people who have, multiple things going on, who some listen, some don't. Some see the sign that says, whatever, don't do this, don't do that, and they do it anyway. And so, you're dealing with so many different variables. Can you give us any examples of where like the policy just came in and really saved someone?
Oh, geez.
You're
I
like every
mean,
day.
yeah, no, I mean, honestly, we probably get, I would say, anywhere from 2 to 6 claims a day that are filed against our policies.
Mhm.
And a lot of them do get filed for things that maybe aren't what our policies intended to cover. They'll be like, oh, the caterer didn't show up, or the venue didn't have this space ready for us. And we're like, well, that's not what we're really here for. We're here for liability purposes.
I'm trying
So
not to laugh because I can totally see that kind of shit happening and y'all
yeah,
being like,
yeah.
so that's really not what we do. But sorry, I
No,
digress.
no, and like that's honestly like such an important part of like getting in front of it on the educational side of things. But like
Yeah.
one that we like use an example of, I mean, something so simple as just like leaving the plug off of an ice chest, and the water leaked out, damaged the floors, the flooring had to be replaced. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, there's one that's happening right now that I'll be a little bit vague about, but we just found out about it
Understood.
yesterday. It was a venue that had many more people than they should have had in this old venue.
Hmm.
And the floor actually collapsed in this kind of older
Oh
barn space.
shit.
And people were injured, and like that,
Yeah.
and so from the event host perspective, it's like, oh man, I brought all those people in here. Like,
Yeah.
what's my level of responsibility? And the great thing too is like, maybe in that case, the event host isn't found to be responsible because they weren't
Yeah.
expected to maintain the floor. But if they are pursued because that happened, which people are going to be, there's going to be lawsuits everywhere.
Hmm.
Our policy actually also defends them against that. It'll provide legal defense to say, hey, our insured was not responsible. The venue
Yeah.
allowed more people in there, or it didn't maintain the beams or support structure of the building or whatever. So something to keep in mind too with event insurance policies, or ours in particular, is it won't just pay for it if you do cause an injury or property damage. If you're sued because of something that you didn't do or you weren't responsible for, it'll provide you legal defense against those kind of things as well as the venue. So
That's
um,
huge. That's
it
huge.
is,
That I actually
yeah.
didn't know that, Myles. So thanks for sharing that. That's really
Oh, yeah.
huge because there are instances where maybe it is the venue, right? It's the venue situation. It's not technically the host.
Yeah.
And so that's really good to know.
Or maybe, I mean, somebody's just walking along the sidewalk and trips over their own feet and breaks their arm or something. It's like, well,
Yeah.
you could try. That wasn't the event host's fault that you couldn't walk,
You
and it
know what?
wasn't
It's
the venue's
funny.
fault, certainly.
I'm so glad you brought that up because something similar happened to a host that's in my membership program. And they were hiking, and this poor woman, she literally tripped over her own feet. Didn't even trip over a rock, which that would
Yeah.
happen too, which is also natural. She
Mhm.
signed the waiver that said she knew this was part of the retreat. But she literally tripped over her own feet. She broke her wrist. And, her first thing was like, well, you guys are paying for it. And the host is like, well, that's really not how this works.
Yeah.
If I'd shoved you, maybe.
Yeah. Or
But
if you like if if like go over there and grab that ice chest and carry it over to the other room for me, and they're carrying an ice chest and they fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe that's the event host fault in that
Yeah.
case. Oh, but tripping
Or
over
if
your own feet.
Yeah, or if it's like, we're not supposed to be on this hiking trail, but we're going to go on this one because it's so much more fun, even though it says it's closed for whatever.
Yep.
There you go again. Like there's this again, y'all, just listening to this, there's so many variables. I have seen hosts who failed to, not at my venue, but who failed to get policies, who ended up with, I mean, thousands of dollars being claimed against them because of plumbing issue that they caused or their guest caused, right?
Mhm.
And you said hardwood floors. Oh my gosh, this one, it was a venue in Europe, and they had these, I mean, 100-year-old floors, and a
Jesus.
section got destroyed. You can't replace that, right? I mean, yeah. Anyway, and so I could think of so many times where somebody didn't have a policy, and you guys, when I tell you that depending on your country, depending on your state, depending on variables, yes, they can come after you personally for
Mhm.
these things, whether it's an injury or damage.
Yeah, and for on average 200 to 300 bucks, let's say for a retreat, it'll provide you with $1 million in legal defense, and then
Yeah.
or if it's not worth defending and it's determined that you're liable, it pays out up to that $1 million, or we even have options up to $5 million available, so but minimum would be $1 million of coverage. And something else important to point out on our policies in particular, we do include host liquor liability. So that
That's
way,
huge.
right? And so if when I mean, I'm not sure in the retreat space, but me thinking of like weddings and those kind of things, I mean, alcohol is always involved
Yep.
95% of the time. So
Yep.
extending coverage, for alcohol related claims. And it's important on there too, even if you're having a dry event, if there's no alcohol allowed at your retreat, in case somebody,
Yeah.
brings a bottle of wine themselves, and they go out and drink it
Yep.
with something like that, in the
Yep.
evening, whatever. You want to always make sure that claims are extended, or coverage is extended to claims that are alcohol related.
Yeah, no, I'm really glad you mentioned that. So the retreat space, I would say it really, because retreats are not just wellness, they're not just health related. Some of them are business, some of them are a learning retreat, some of them are artistic retreats, some of them are, mine is wine and unwind retreat. And so, there is a good chance that there could be alcohol, and there's a good chance that there couldn't be alcohol, but it's good to know that that's a piece of your policy or an option in your policy, because there are some companies out there who won't. So it's just really important, which reminds me, Myles, that when you are searching for an insurance policy, obviously you guys know I'm promoting Event Helper. We promote it at our ranch. It's the one that I've always gone to for all of my hosts and even my own retreats, to make sure you're honest with what your retreat includes, because
Yeah,
or event, right? Because it does you no good to spend two, four, five, whatever $100 on this policy, but you didn't tell the insurance company that you're going to have plant medicine, let's say, right? And so talk to us about that. Like there are some exclusions and there's some things that you got to be aware of.
definitely. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that's really important, especially in the retreat space, because there can be some more like higher risk athletic participant kind of coverage
Yeah.
aspects. So we can't provide coverage in all those cases, which we do a pretty thorough job of asking throughout our application what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. One thing that we're really proud of is that if they select something that we can't write coverage for, say it's a like open water kayaking or something like that, we don't just say, sorry, we can't provide you coverage, good luck. We actually just got one of our customer service reps moved into a new position to where he handles what we call our outies. But it's basically things that don't fit within our normal program. So if they identify something we can't do, we'll be like, hey, we saw that you did this, confirm that they actually meant to say that first of all. And then if they do in fact need that coverage, we move them over to Thad, who's the person in our office that does that, and he works on sourcing coverage elsewhere. So we really want to always try to get somebody to the finish line, especially from one of my main roles is working with venues through partnerships and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that when a venue sends somebody to us to get their insurance, that we're getting them to the finish line and they're not coming back, bothering the venue. Where else can I go? All that kind of stuff. The goal is to get them in one way or another to the finish line to actually get a policy that offers the proper protection. And when there
Yeah.
are different things like like a yoga camp or something like that, there are two kind of options within our sphere of the coverage we can provide. We could do just the liability portion to where within the event, if they cause the property damage or there's injury not associated with the yoga, we provide that coverage. They
Yeah.
also have the option to opt into participant coverage when there is some sort of athletic or sporting component to it. We can provide coverage for the participants as well. Since that is a bit of a higher risk, more likely to have an injury, there is an
Yeah.
increased cost. But yeah, we try to just make everything as rounded as possible and offer as many solutions. And I feel like we do in our event world space have the most kind of rounded offerings as, how many different type of things we can cover.
Yeah, and as a venue, thank you. Because before we were offering Event Helper, we had like 3 or 4 different other companies. It was kind of like, here's a few companies to choose from. And by the way, you can choose whomever you want. When you're at our venue, you just have to have a policy and it has to be a legitimate policy. But our preferred and premier partner is Event Helper. But I love the fact that ever since we started using you or using Event Helper, we don't have the back and forth because that's exactly what would happen. Is someone would say, well, none of them can cover me. So now what? And it's like, first of all, my first reaction is, what the fuck are you doing? They're not covering you. But sometimes it could just be they might have had a previous claim or who knows. There just could be something else. I have no idea. But it was just back and forth and that was annoying. And I also love, because one of the things, Myles, you and I talked about is you or Event Helper primarily focuses on the US. But if I've got someone who is like, wanting to do a retreat, say in Spain or someone else, you're not just saying, too bad, so sad, we can't help you. You still try to help point them in the right direction, right?
Yeah. And that's one thing that our rep has been really trying to do is focus on international events, because that's a huge one for us. I mean, like just Canada, like
Yeah.
you can Mexico, like that'd be great. But he's had some luck with, I think, Ireland. He did something in. It's a pretty new position. He's been doing it for about 6 months, so he's really figuring it all out, But
Yeah. Creating relationships and partnerships with other companies, I'm sure. Yeah.
totally, yeah. And whenever he gets something that he hasn't done before, that's actually really exciting because it's like, okay,
Yeah.
cool, another thing on the board that I know we can do, So,
Yeah.
yeah, for international clients, definitely still, we can probably help them.
Yeah. I love that because a lot of US based hosts or business owners, entrepreneurs, they do eventually, some of them start off right away, but eventually they do want to host international as well. They want to, host one in the US and then one in Europe or one in the US and one in Mexico or whatever may be the case. And so it's good to know they still can have pretty much one stop place that will at least get them on the right path. And that's really important because they're juggling so many things. This is such an important thing that a lot of people want to just blow off. And if you make it easier, even better, right?
Yep. And honestly, like those international events are the harder ones to find coverage for as
Sure.
we went out into the world because we're by far the most litigious country that there is, so it's not going to be required in those other countries. So finding something to protect yourself as an event host when you're going and doing that is more difficult when it's in different countries. So that's something
Sure.
that it's been one of his primary, kind of targets is getting that international coverage.
I love that. I love that. Was there anything else that you want to add or teach the retreat leaders or event planners about insurance?
Geez, I think we did a pretty good job of covering it. I mean, as far as us, if they do hit our website, our application typically takes maybe 3 or 4 minutes online. It's very easy. That's pretty much why we exist. Well, we exist because venues require it, first of all. And then, basically the whole goal of our company was to make it as easy and online and simple as possible. We do have plenty of reps. We have 9 reps in the office that'll take a phone call if somebody wants to go over the application on the phone with them. But really the name of the game is hit our website, yes or no questions, what type of event, dates of coverage, your info, you submit payment, the policy's bound, and you have proof of coverage right then. I mean, the whole thing's
It is. It's so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will link their website in the show notes so you can absolutely jump on there and just start pricing it out, checking it out. I highly, highly recommend it. Each one of our hosts that have used y'all, and when I've used y'all, I've been nothing but happy. I'm also happy to say I've never had to actually file a claim. Where's my wood? Holy crap. I shouldn't have said that out loud. But either way, I highly recommend them. Myles, thank you so much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your retreat besties. Want more support? Grab free resources at theretreatleadersplaybook.com. Until next time, lead boldly, serve deeply, and retreat profitably.